Before I move further, I want to remind you of what I started with, playing that clip of Brad Harrub laughing and grinning when the man said murder gaze. I don't want you to forget this man. He smiles and he talks about science. All these things he said about the conditions having to be just right, the position in the solar system and all those things are after the fact. We are here. We are here. This is called the Goldilocks effect. Not too hot parts, not too cold parts. But yeah, we're here. And have to have those conditions, but that's kind of absurd, I think. I'm going to do something now, and I hope Johnny and Brad will let me get away with it, because I'm afraid they're going to pull the plug on me or walk out, because it's going to seem sort of like that I'm not keeping this scholarly debate between gentlemen right, that I'm turning it into a farce and a spectacle. But I'm not. I'm doing a legitimate scientific experiment, testing whether Brad Harrub's faith in Yahweh and the Bible and Moses and all this stuff through Jesus and the resurrection of Jesus. Remember when Jesus arose, the ground opened up and all the corpses rose up and went into town and walked around, and that, let's see, what Bible verse was that? I don't remember which one that was. That was a real dumb one. It was seen by, the corpses were seen by many people. You'd think a lot of the legitimate historians would have written about that, but they didn't. Anyway, this is not a farce. This is not like professional wrestling, if you bear with me. I want to do an experiment. I brought a couple of dumbbells here. I want to say that I'm a 68-year-old man. I'm an elderly man. Brad Harrub, I don't know how old are you, Brad? 42. Man, he's almost half my age, man. But even though I'm 68 years old, I'm willing to do an experiment to see how much our willpower. If you're a good guy and you're not, running wild outside the objective power of God and stuff, you give it all you've got. And I guess Brad will give it all he's got for his faith in God, and maybe he can prove something tonight. But I know I'm going to give it all I've got. I may drop dead of a heart attack, because I'm going to do something with these dumbbells. And I'm going to do more than I've ever done in my entire life. I'm going to do more than I've ever done in my entire life, because I'm going to be on the side of science and the joy of reality as exposed by real experiments where you measure things, observe things like Eratosthenes measured the earth carefully, the way Isaac Newton measured the acceleration due to gravity by carefully changing the position of a ramp until he got it up to a certain position, and he extrapolated up to 90 degrees to find that 32 feet per second. So I love science. So I'm going to do these dumbbells as many times as I can. Just get somebody over here to count for me. Billy Williams, he's my wife's former student. He'll count maybe. 1 up, 2, 3. Every time I come up with either hand, it's all right. And I'm going to do it as much as I can. Then we're going to get Brad to take off his sport coat and come up here. And he's going to do as many as he can. And this is my promise to you. This is no more ridiculous than Johnny and the Church of Christ offering $1,000 to anybody who can find the Baptist church in the Bible. If Brad beats me in the number he can do, I'm going to fall to my knees. I'm going to look up and say, oh my God, you are real. I am so sorry I blasphemed you. And from now on, I'm going to devote my life to you. Plus, I'm going to sign a paper here tonight and get it notarized Monday to give $1,000 a year for the rest of my life to the church at 250 The Boulevard, where my friend James Oldfield is pastor or preacher. I know they say, well, I don't have a church. I guess, isn't that tedious and tiring? Every time somebody says your church, they say, I don't have a church, it's the Lord's church. Well, they're not saying, let's be real. Nobody's trying to say that Johnny stood on that rock with Peter, or that Johnny bought the church, or Johnny owns the church. They're just saying the church where you work. Let's let that go. That's tedious. Let that go. But anyway, I will do that. Now, what am I going to ask of Brad? Very simple. Nothing like what I've got to do. If I beat him and do more as a 68-year-old man, all I'm going to ask him to do is this. You ready? Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That's Aramaic. That's what Jesus spoke. He's on the cross. And since most of you probably don't speak Aramaic, I guess Brad and Johnny do, but Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That means in English, my God, why hath thou forsaken me? Isn't that a wimp thing for Jesus to say, since God put himself in human form to come down here and do this, shed his blood for us, and then, he's crying out to his God like a wimp. That's just stupid. But that's all I'm going to ask Brad to do. I'm going to drop to my knees and change. I'm going to convert to Johnny's church. I'm going to start going to Johnny's church on Starling Avenue. I'm going to give $1,000 a year to the church where James preaches. You don't have anything to lose. All Brad's got to do, if he can't keep up with me, is just agree to just say, why have you forsaken me? Now I'm going to take off this. Get Billy Williams, if you will, to come up here and count. Will you do it? Will you be willing to count? No. He shaking his head no. He doesn't want to count. What's your excuse, Billy Williams? Boy, aren't you Officer Edan of the Star Trek? Are you afraid, man?
Are you out of science?
What?
Are you out of science?
No, I'm not out of science. I got 1 billion years of science. I got plenty of science. But I'm going to do this. This is science. Because this is going to be a test of faith. All the people out in the community are going, if this works and Brad beats me, they're going to go to him. Is nobody going to count for me? Is there nobody in here will you count for me, Johnny? No.
You must be out of science.
See, Johnny said he must be out. He doesn't like this experiment. And you people out there are going to like it, though. Billy Williams won't count for me. What's wrong with you, man? Will one of the boys over here, they your kids, Brad? Will one of them count for me?
They're all wondering where your science is.
I don't care about that, Johnny. I'm going to take my mic out here, and I'm going to do this. This is science. This is a real experiment to test people that have a big mouth. So let's just do this thing. Pair of 60-pound dumbbells. I'm going to do as many as I can. Nobody in the room will count for me. I want that to go on the record. Nobody in the room will count for me. Johnny said, we're wondering where your science is. If you run out of science, will you count for me, Brad? No, you won't count? One? No, he was second into this. Oh, he's a bunch of cowards. I got a room full of cowardly men here. God, they're creeps. Okay, let's just go. You people on the TV can count. Is there anybody back in the back that can count? Okay. Most I've ever done. I did it for science.